Good evening. I'd like to call the Destin Fire Control District Board of Fire Commissioners to order. We're at 848 Airport Road here in Destin, Florida. The date is November 9th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. This meeting is open to the public, and at this time, Chief, we'd like to do employee recognition.
Yes, sir. We have firefighter Pivus with us this evening. He's on duty. I'd like to recognize him for a couple of things. One, he was one of our employees who took on the challenge of taking the paramedic course. And he was the first to pass the National Registry and get his certification. As soon as the class was over with, he took it almost immediately and passed it right away. So he has passed his paramedic course. But we're recognizing him tonight because once he finished his paramedic course, he took upon himself, he was one class short of having his rescue specialist. He took upon himself to locate where that course is being taught in the state of Florida, which was in Lake County, at Lake Technical. And he set it up and went down there, took that class so he could get his rescue specialist and be a part of our TRT team. He really wanted to be a part of it, so he took it upon himself to make that happen for us, which is what we're recognizing him for tonight. Is the fact he has to be his rescue specialist. It's now part of our TRT 109, so we're very proud of him for that. Very proud of him for passing his paramedic as well. All of our folks that attended the paramedic course have passed it and are operating paramedics today. If they were here tonight, I'd recognize all four of them. But only Mr. Pivus is here tonight, so I just wanted to throw that in there. He did pass his paramedic, and after being in class for over a year and going through all that clinical, as soon as he was done, passed this test, he knocked this out, so he wanted to get that out of the way too. So very proud of him for that. So, Phil, are you here?
Yes, sir.
All right. And Mr. Firefighter Pivus. Congratulations, sir. Very proud of you. Yes, sir. Let's get that right. So somebody got it?
I do.
Okay, I just want to make sure. What's your best side? Okay, no, you're shaking my hand with this one. You'll have one hand. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
move just a little to,
To us?
yes, so we can get,
Shuffle?
yes.
Okay, I can do that.
Yes.
Do we get him? All right.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations. Appreciate it.
Good job, Phil.
Thank
And that concludes it. We don't really have any more, other than, like I said, we had firefighter Pereira, very new hire, passed. We hired him. He just completed the course, took it with Phil. We hired him right after he completed that course, and then he passed his test after we had hired him. And then engineer Hartley and engineer Wentworth have also passed there. So all four of those individuals are now operating paramedics for the district. We're very proud of them. Very great. Yeah, that's it for, oh, yeah. So our Lieutenant Morris has been on a mission to fulfill all the requirements for the captain's position in the inspections department. And he just passed the arson investigator certification. So now he's a certified arson investigator, the only one we have in the department. So from this point forward, I'm going to be pulling him in and getting him to assist me in fire investigations. Prior to him becoming certified, that was on me, or I called in the fire marshal to assist me. Now we have a certified fire investigator working for us. So I'm very proud of Travis for accomplishing that. Thank you, man.
All right, at this time, I'd like to open the floor up for public comments. Do you have any, Catherine? Seeing none, the floor is closed to public comments. Moving to the chief reports, beat safety update, chief.
Yes, so you'll see that Joe is not here at this present moment. They're closing out the season. They closed out the season. We have had some meetings, bring the board up to date. I'm going to also be getting up with our county commission representative for our area. We have had a couple of meetings at the request of Henderson State Park with the season they had this past year with a couple of drownings they've had. They have petitioned the state to allow them now to have lifeguards in the park, which is a huge step for the state. because they always say swim at your own risk in any state park. But the state has okayed and authorized them to allow to have lifeguards in the park. Of course, the state doesn't want to provide any funding with that, but they're okay with having lifeguards in there, which for them liability wise, it's a big step for them. So we're going to approach the TDD to provide us with some additional funding to be able to put lifeguards in the park. They do pay bed tax because they have the RV slips that are there, and they charge bed tax for that. So
That's a good
we
approach
think
to
that
take.
we think they have the foundation to be able to support receiving the funds from the TDD. We're gonna, as I said, we're gonna talk to our Commissioner Ponder and see if we can't get his support and get him to help us, guide us with receiving those funds from the TDD. Because he's currently on
add percentage-wise to the beach that we take care of.
Joe estimates about 1.5 miles of beach of our total. So if you went from one point to the county line, we've got 7 miles of beach.
So we have actually 5.5 is ours, right?
Correct. Yes, sir.
So we're gonna add 1.5 to 5.5.
That's right.
That's about 25% of our budget.
Yes, sir. So we have a proposal. We looked at it to order to properly protect it. We come up with a proposal of what we estimate that's going to take as far as lifeguards and equipment. So we're looking at 3 stands plus a rover to be in that 1.5 miles. Because that is, if you look at Destin as a whole, private beach, public beach, that is one that is, the park itself is visited and has a lot of capacity, and there are a lot of people who utilize that beach. As it is I would say, public beach. It's one that anybody can go to. Of course, you pay your fee to get in, but it's well visited, and there's a lot of people.
Well, they close it down at times because it's full.
Yes, sir. They will not allow any more in because it is full. Yes, sir.
So it's grown big time.
When you're looking up and down the beach, there's different areas that we know that are packed, James Lee being one, because it's another public, but then there's also those other areas like Pelican, because you've got both the high rises that have on that one piece of property all go to that beach, and they're full. So that's that many people going to that area. So we know the areas, and Henderson's always been one of those. We just haven't been able to put a lifeguard in it because the state wouldn't allow it. They would allow us to traverse through. So the potential is there. We could have been in the park at the time that something happens because we were passing through. Maybe we go kind of slow, but we would pass through. But we couldn't really patrol it or put a lifeguard in there. And the result is what you saw this past year, where you had multiple rescues and 2 drownings. So we're kind of excited that the state has at least allowed lifeguards in their park. In this part, now hopefully we can get funding from the TDD to accomplish it.
It's a good partnership with them.
Well, with TDC, sure, but I guess my concern would be, I don't want to see us degrade what we do for the other
Agreed.
5.5 miles.
Agreed.
Okay? Because the state doesn't want to pay any money.
That's
They
correct.
also don't pay taxes to our district.
That's correct.
They may pay some bed tax, but it's a minuscule amount compared to
Agreed.
what's collected. So I just would like to make sure that we at least go after sufficient funds that's not detrimental to the rest of our efforts across the beach.
Agreed. Yes, sir. 100%. My position on that is, unless the board changes my mind, is that if there's no additional funding, there's no lifeguards going there.
That's right.
That's my
I think
position.
we're on.
But also, we gotta consider too, we talk about 7 miles of beach, you still got another 1/2 mile from
In the
the jetties
jetties, yeah.
to the Crab Island, so,
Yeah.
you know, we're covering 7.5 miles of beach now.
Yes, sir. As Joe and I have discussed this, we're not going to degrade the service that we currently offer or take. We're not going to rob Peter to pay Paul in this case. If the funds aren't provided, then the service isn't provided.
I would say we shouldn't rob Peter to pay for Paul.
Yes,
Let Paul pay for his own.
that's right.
Is there a way that they could tell us how much bed tax they collect for that?
We could ask.
I mean, 'cause
That don't mean they tell you.
Well, I understand.
No, but they should be able to tell us.
We
Because The RV park is packed year round
Well,
there.
it
really
really
doesn't
doesn't matter.
matter.
The slots they've got.
Yeah.
And look what they charge per night.
Mhm.
And then assume it's full every night. You can figure out what the max could be.
Yeah.
And it's not a lot of
So they
money.
should be able to give us that figure.
It's not gonna be a lot.
Go figure it out ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, It's not that.
But what
It's
they
not gonna be that
collect
much
is
money.
minuscule, and it's good to say, well, they pay, bed tax, but they don't pay tax to the Destin Fire Control District.
No, so I just saw that as an end to be able to utilize those funds from the TV. I don't think they're gonna offset the funds by any way, in any
I
way,
agree.
shape, or form. But I looked at it as because they do, that is an option for us to go and ask for that additional funding, because they do pay into it.
Well, I mean, at least collect that amount.
We should also, though, be talking to people at the state level,
Our representatives in the legislature to see about funding it, yes, sir.
because we all agree on the need to be on that beach. I mean, the numbers are the numbers, right?
Mhm.
But to do it, say, well, we will allow you to go out there,
But we're not gonna pay anything.
Right.
That's not a sustainable position.
Right, and I'll talk to, Representative Maney, Judge Maney, and see if we can get some, foothold there with, him and see if he can try to help shepherd something through the legislature. Because, anyway, at the end of they have those funds that they can put towards different projects that they have in different districts, and they do that a lot throughout the state. So, I would ask, Judge Maney if that would be one of his projects to be able to assist them fund something like this.
Also, if that's gonna be the only guarded beach in the state park system, the entry fee should be higher to pay for it.
I agree, I'm with you there, I like that. Yes, sir.
I like the way you think.
Hmm?
I like the way you think.
Looking for money is what I do.
Training report?
Yes, sir. Yeah, get to those. Yes, you'll see that our folks accomplished 30 hours of training for the month in various subjects. One that is of note is boat 9 training. I know they did some day and night training, which is always good to be able to get the folks out there at night to be able to operate that boat, because it's significantly different, as y'all know, at night. And they, I'm not sure, I don't think it's reflected here. Yes, you'll see they did some facility training as well. So that's important that we have 4 different sessions throughout the year at a recognized facility, and Northwest Florida State College is. So we send our folks over there to get that facility training. So it was a good job by them to be able to get in the 30 hours that they need.
I saw them out doing the hydrant care. Okay.
Yes, sir. Oh, no, sir, they've been out and about, absolutely. And that's one of those things that we always go back and forth on during the season, when we're talking about that peak time during the summer, because we are busy running calls and those kind of things, and there's a lot of people out. So we kind of stay away from that time period when we're flowing hydrants or doing any kind of care and maintenance to those.
Inspection report.
Yes, sir, you have the reports in front of you there. Just want to make note of the Charles Building 3000 has finalized and is occupied at the moment. They are trying to get Building 4000 completed now to try to occupy also. Waiting for them to get their test done on it first. October was fire prevention. Big thank you to all the guys that helped out with that. As far as talking to over 1,000 kids from all the way from preschool all the way up to 2nd grade and stuff. And also, Lieutenant Morris did an excellent job. Big thanks again to the guys and stuff for going and helping, and girls, I'm sorry. And all the help that they did and stuff, and all to be there to show the kids, talk to them and all. So if you have any questions.
Did they come up to the station too?
They were not allowed this year. Normally 1st grade walks up, but with the COVID, again, the principal wanted them to stay at school. So no problem. So we went down there and did kindergarten, 1st grade, and 2nd grade at the school. And then did all the
The reason I asked,
daycare.
I never saw them up this way.
Yeah,
That's fine.
yeah. But they were scheduled and then had to back out last minute.
Did the situation get resolved with this, whatever the lady was trying to call everybody about something about her?
Yes, sir.
They got resolved?
Yes, sir.
Because I never got a phone call.
Yeah, I
I'm
didn't get
glad.
that either.
Yes, sir. No, sir, I think the chairman and I myself handled that, so we got to take care of it.
All right, going into the review of the minutes, tentative budget hearing September 14th, 2021, the regular meeting September 14th, 2021. I'll take a motion on those two as one, and then a final budget hearing September 23rd, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Changes? Seeing none, take a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
Mr. Chairman, you missed the overtime report there.
Did I? Oh, I'm checking, I'm sorry. Well, go ahead. All right, overtime report.
Yes, sir. As a department, we've had 2 rounds of COVID infections kind of hit us. September was the 2nd round. You'll see that reflected in the overtime report. We had probably 5 people out. One of those continued to carry over into October. The illness lasted for a while, trying to get released by the doctors and be able to get that clearance to be able to come back. So you'll see that reflected in the September report, which is about 35 grand. And then you'll see the carryover a little bit into October of about a little over 7,000. But again, that's that beginning. And we also had down a couple of folks. One of them that we hired, we let go, so that position's open. And we just had somebody leave us, was created the 2nd position. So with the fact that we're staffing 3 stations, 3 trucks, and staffing that all the time, where we had flexibility, we were running on 2 stations, 2 trucks out of one, I could drop a truck. Now that we're running 3 stations and 3 trucks, I have to maintain that staffing of 3 per apparatus. So with 11 folks, 2 on vacation, it takes 1 call out sick, or 1 down, 1 person, and then that happens. So we will be seeking to try to get these funds reimbursed, at least the COVID part, the backfill and overtime costs as associated with that. So we'll be seeking to get those funds reimbursed. But as it is right now, we got kind of gut punched with that 2nd round. I would anticipate now, and don't know the numbers right off the top of my head, but I anticipate with either the infections, so our employees had immunity, or with the vaccine, the employees had immunity, we're probably sitting at 60 to 70% of our folks who either haven't got the immunity or have had the vaccine. So I think we're pretty clear, almost with that herd immunity with us. So I think we're sitting in pretty good shape at that 2nd bout. I hate our folks went through it, but I think we're sitting, as far as a reinfection, we're sitting in a much better position.
Yeah, we gotta get that down just a tad. All right. And will you let us know if we get reimbursed?
Absolutely, when it happens. Sure.
All right, so we jump to review of the minutes, get that taken care of. Review of the financial report, September 30th, 2021, and then October 31st, 2021. Catherine?
The September 30th, 2021 fiscal year end will be presented at the December meeting. At that point, that's when it's going to be turned over to the auditor. So I don't want to present it to you when it still have final adjustments to be made. So we'll present that next month. As far as the October 31st report, it's in front of you. So 1 month into the fiscal year, cash position is good. We are taking draws from the Florida Local Government Investment Trust as needed until ad valorem revenue comes in. Typically, we get our first large deposit in the month of December. Right now, construction draws are slow, so we're not needing advanced transfers from that account. But we're monitoring it, and we'll take the transfers as we need to. Accounts receivable are high. Being at the end of the fiscal year, we have multiple receivables due from the county for beach safety services. All receivables are determined collectible at this point. Fixed assets is one of the large items that will need to be adjusted still for our audit. So as of this report, they're not adjusted. Liabilities, timing of construction invoices as well as workers' comp invoices driving a larger accounts payable than we normally see. In the rest of the current liabilities and equity have been adjusted for the month. As far as the revenue over expenditures, I really don't have anything to mention. All's in line with some of the construction we have going on, a couple prepaid items that we have at the beginning of the year. So if there's any specific questions, I'll be happy to do my best to answer those.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve in a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. All right, moving into old business, the West End District Station update, Chief.
Yes, sir. Several things that we actually have just some dollar numbers for you to be able to kind of see in the report. When I say the report, it's just some invoices that we received. Just kind of bring everybody up to speed on the dollars, as well as progress. As far as progress is concerned, a lot of the plumbing that need to be necessary to be able to put an island in, and the gas and the electrical, that's there. Cabinets have been ordered. We're anticipating 2 to 3 weeks, we should have the cabinets and the countertops installed. We've ordered the hood system, being that it is a commercial, it's got to have the full fire protection system in the hood itself. So we're anticipating that's about 2 weeks out. It's been ordered about 2 weeks out for it to come in. We can go ahead and hang it. Interiorly, we've got all the walls that needed to be put up. Wiring is in place for that. I would anticipate it wouldn't be long before the sheetrock starts to go up. The underground is still yet to be done to connect the sprinkler system to the actual decimal water user systems. We have water to it. That's still got to be done. We're having, even, I say not just that, but in general, sometimes the subs are kind of hard to find because they're busy. And then their staffing isn't, everybody's being affected by those things, so the companies are a little slower. And what we're doing with an underground job, and I say underground job, is they've got to be a Class 5 contractor to be able to do the work for this sprinkler system. And those folks are pretty busy. So we've got somebody that's going to do it for us. It's just a matter of them trying to work it into their schedule and get out there and get it done. So that's kind of the descriptive part of it. You'll see there's several invoices that we have here. Some of these are a little more than what we'd initially anticipated. The first one is from Gulf Tech. This is the good news. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Tammy, put it in good first. So Gulf Tech, we had initially anticipated that our sprinkler and alarm system, the sprinkler system itself, we anticipated that was going to be about 26 based upon quotes we had received from a couple of sprinkler contractors. When we spoke with Gulf Tech, he has done numerous fire stations, and he says what he does for fire departments is that because those are tax dollars, and it's the fire departments, and it's what he does with sprinkler systems, which is benefits us in buildings, that he would do it for his cost and would not make a dime. So parts and labor is all he charges us for it, and that's reflected in his invoices. So he charges $13,000, which is one of the invoices you have here, is $13,000 to put the sprinkler system in, which we anticipated initially was around 26, about half the price. And then the alarm system, he charges 12. So or one vice versa. So what you'll see is for about 25, we've got both done, the alarm system and the sprinkler system, and that's less than what the initial quote was just for the sprinkler system. So I think we really did well when it came to that. Now that's outside of the 160 when we had the contract with Mr. Black to do the work for us. That was going to be outside of it. So this is something that's outside of it, but either way, it saves a significant amount of money. So it's great. I think we're going to end up eating into some of that savings when we go to do the underground work because we're having a hard time getting somebody in. So I think you'll see that going to eat into some of it when the time comes. The other thing that you have in front of you will be the cabinets. Initially, we're budgeted at $28,000. We got the price back and it's going to be around 31, 32. What you see there is multiple options. Option C was the one that was picked, which is about midway of the cost of just the countertops. And when you add it all up, it's around 32 for that. Then there's also in that quote is to do the bathrooms, and that's around, I think it was I'd have to look at about 8. So that's a little bit $4,000 more than what we anticipated. And then the other one, there's another notice here. Golf Tech. And then that's kitchens and bath. And you'll see the drawings and how it's going to be laid out as well, that's good. Because you can't see it now. So the cabinets go in. And then the other one, okay, the other thing was the air conditioning. So, and we paid down on part of that, and then when they complete the job, we'll finish paying the rest. We're adding an air conditioning unit to it. So of course the house had an air conditioner. Putting in the 5 rooms on one side, an additional one, we're starting to block it off. When we start to block it off, we were worried about that unit itself being able to support that. So we're putting the second unit in, kind of handle all the bunk rooms. And then eventually the screen-in porch, if it ever gets closed in, it'll handle that as well. So we're putting in one. What I will tell the board is that the other 2 fire stations have 2 to 3, depending on which station you're looking at, has 2 to 3 air conditioners in it. So it's not out of the norm for us to have 2 air conditioners down in that building, especially when we're cutting it off like we are. We're going to be chopping it up so we can keep it cool. So that is a change order. Another change order that I did ask Bob to take care of, which I think isn't going to be that much, is that when they initially had drawn the plans up, there was a room, didn't really get to see how much that was going to affect it until the walls went up. So they did put the walls up. I asked them to take them down or relocate them. But when the plans were initially drawn, there was a room that came off the wall that separates the bathrooms from the living room. And they had put a bunk room there. Once the wall was up, it was kind of, you could tell it really was intrusive into the rest of the living quarters. So I asked them to take that down and move it over to what we were going to have as the office space where the 3rd bathroom is, and enclose part of that office space with a door going into it. Whoever's going to be residing in that bunk would then have their own bathroom, not without a shower. They wouldn't have a shower, but they at least, if they got in the middle of the night and had to go to the restroom, they could. It'd be right off the bunk. So we're going to kind of enclose that area. It reopened that back up, which I felt much more comfortable with the living space being more open. So and I think that's going to be $1,000 or less because the wood, they just reused it. I think it just comes down to the actual labor itself and taking it down to reconstruct it. So overall, that's not bad as compared to, let's say, a new air conditioner is going to be around that. So if it's all right, I'd like to get the board's approval on these invoices just in general because some of those are going to be a little bit more than what we anticipated, and one is a change order. The other ones are saving us money. But
Well, I think in this day and time, we can probably expect a little over
Oh, yeah, not a surprise.
with delays and costs going up, unforeseen costs and stuff like that. So as long as it's not going crazy, this looks okay to me.
I move that we approve it as brief. I'll second.
All right, I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Chief? Seeing none, take a vote, all in favor? And
thank you.
move forward.
Chief, do we
Yes, sir.
have a move-in target date?
I can't.
It's a
No,
move.
sir.
What's
It
the
is.
target? I mean,
Yeah.
it's something we're
Yeah.
aiming for.
Yeah. I would anticipate within, Mike's gonna kill me. I'd anticipate in about 2 months, so January sometime. Well, I'm hoping we're in there by then.
So January 9th, we'll write that down.
I'm hoping. I'm hoping.
Well, we gotta have a target.
If I shoot it-
We're probably, in the environment we have today, with supply chain issues everywhere, not gonna make it.
Yes.
Something's gonna stop us somewhere, but we ought to keep on trucking with that goal in mind.
My goal is to be in
Closer
there.
to it.
I would,
My goal is to be in there in January.
realistically, I see into January,
Into January, yeah.
I think it's gonna be in January.
because you got holidays.
The moving, yes,
That's
and the
what we're gonna
moving
be
target, I think, is really gonna be done groundwork for us right now. Because I think the rest of it, we can kind of press on Bob a little bit. Cabinets are already, there's certain things are already kind of happening. But there could be delays. The underground, we haven't been able to nail that down. When we're gonna be able to get that person in there, get that done. And we can't move them into the sprinkler systems.
Right.
And tested and all that.
People starting to get excited.
Oh, I think so. I think they want to be down there for sure out of that little house.
Little house, yeah, that's what I'm hearing. Yeah.
Yeah, that little house is, so if they've ever,
Cozy, yeah.
if they ever thought about actually living in a tiny house, I think they're getting to
They're changing their
experience.
minds. huh?
I'll bet you. I bet you the tiny house will not be in the cards for anybody that's been having to reside in that every third day.
Oh, I'm closing in.
Yes, sir, I think so, especially with 3 of them living there in that tiny house. So we want to get them moved, just as soon as we can. I'm hoping January.
Sounds good. Any other questions?
It's good.
All right. Moving into new business, Herbert Field Mutual Aid Agreement.
Yes, sir, we left that on there because I'm not sure when we're going to receive it. We'll continue to carry it. I anticipate it's not going to be long. Herbert Field had initially given us a mutual aid agreement. They needed to update it because of the AAA phones and all that. Okay, so they need to update it. Once they pushed it out, their attorneys had to pull it back because we changed it. So as soon as their attorneys make the adjustments to it, get it back to us, then we'll have DC look it over again and I'll bring it before the board. But I'm going to go ahead and leave it.
Yeah, it was like 3 or 4 months ago.
Yes, sir, it was, and the attorneys haven't got it back to us yet.
Other post-employment benefit evaluation.
Yes, sir, this is an annual that we had done. I'll turn it over to Ms. Castle, let her run it through.
Okay, so this report is required by GASB 75 that the district picks up the liability on their books for the cost of having retirees on our health insurance. We do have retirees on our health insurance because the state of Florida says that we must. Even though health insurance laws have changed over the last 5-6 years, to where the market now has availability with no pre-existing conditions, that state law is still there mandating us to have it for eligible retirees. So the cost of this is determined by evaluation every year. And if you actually turn to page 51, it is the page that I'm going to review. It shows the cost where we were last year and how it's changed to this year. Last year, we carried a cost on our books of $735,000. That cost is increased by approximately $160,000. And the primary reason for this is a change in an assumption method that's used. The fund utilizes a discount rate, which is based off of municipal bonds. Well, municipal bonds have dropped, as have a lot of other bonds, and because of that, they had to lower that assumption from approximately 3.5 down to 2.14%, and that had a dramatic effect on this, and that's the primary reason why we have to pick up an additional $160,000 in expense for this liability. We will never realize this liability. We pay our insurance as it comes in on a monthly basis, and so do the retirees. The retirees pay their portion if they're enrolled, so that we'll never realize it. However, we have to carry it on our books. So if there's any questions, I can try to answer it. We've adjusted our September 30th financial report to this current liability of $895,000, but we do need a motion to accept this evaluation.
I move that we accept it and spend as little time as possible talking about this, because it's not even real.
Yeah.
I'll second.
I agree. Take a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
It is what it is. All right, next meeting, we'll have a special meeting, if need be, on November 17th, 2021 at 9 a.m. That'll be a Wednesday. And then we have our regular scheduled meeting December 14th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. Nothing else coming from the board. Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.